Dolphins have agreed to trade three-time All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
As part of this trade, Ramsey will get a $1.5 million raise this season, bringing his 2025 compensation to $26.6 million. Steelers get their man, and Ramsey gets another raise. Mike Tannenbaum, you were the former general manager of the Miami Dolphins. Your reaction to this trade?
Not surprised that he got traded. That was well reported. A lot of us thought he was going to go with the Rams at some point. They were looking for a corner. He had been there. You heard Sean McVay said that was certainly a possibility. This is another sort of like interesting move by Pittsburgh. You know, they obviously acquired DK Metcalf, gave up second-round pick, $30 million. 41-year-old quarterback. This is an all-in
Darius
move.
Slay opposite Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah. So this is an all-in move. Very atypical of Pittsburgh. Very intriguing. Look, Aaron Rodgers to me is still the third best current quarterback in the AFC North behind Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Very interesting move by the Steelers. Maybe they could get a good year or two out of Jalen Ramsey, help to defend those great offenses.
Graz, does this move Jalen Ramsey to the Steelers change your viewpoint of where they finish in the AFC North?
No, I don't think so. I mean, look, Jalen Ramsey, obviously a great player, but it does. My concern about the Steelers' offense is the age on it, right? And I don't see how this helps that concern because they're not, But look, it's an area of need, an area of concern where they get stronger, and maybe it's a hedge, because Darius Slay, older player as well. So I mean, good move for the Steelers, but no, I don't see it as something that takes them past Cincinnati or Baltimore.
Yeah, same. I don't think they're better than the third in that division. This is still going to be a miracle coaching job by Mike Thomas. Another one we pulled the rabbit out of his hat to get them in contention.
TJ Watt's going to get paid as well because you're not doing all these moves not to make sure he's happy.
Well, and it looks like an all-in year, whether it pays off or not. And Mike Tomlin, who knows about his future, his first ballot Hall of Famer. I'd take him to coach any team, any sport. He's that good. But they're giving him a lot here that he's asked for. And I love Tomlin, but now it's going to be really backing it up, which we've never said about Mike Tomlin really before.
Is this year Josh Allen's best chance to win a Super Bowl?
Yes, it is his best chance because this is the best version of Josh Allen that we've seen. And then next year will be an even better chance because last year was kind of phase 3, year 1 of phase 3 for Josh Allen. When he first got in the league, unmolded version. Then Diggs comes, he has a little direction. Last year he played mistake-free football. I think he's only going to get better, and we're going to see that this season.
All right, Mike Tannenbaum, who should start for the Cleveland Browns at quarterback?
Joe Flacco, we're looking at him right here, Graz. 191 career regular season starts, and their schedule is remarkably different. They start off with Cincinnati, Baltimore, Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota. Look, Shedeur Sanders or Dylan Gabriel, they're two rookie quarterbacks, may be their future. But as the ultimate bridge quarterback with that sort of brutal start, let's go with Joe Flacco and all those starts.
All right, Hawk, one more for you. And speaking of bridge quarterbacks, will Aaron Rodgers, make the playoffs in what is presumed to be his final season?
I think he will make the playoffs. I think we're going to see a version of Aaron Rodgers that we haven't seen in the last few years. He's going to be playing loose. He's going to be asked just to play quarterback, not be the head coach, not be the GM, not be the PR director. And I think that version of Aaron Rodgers is going to mesh well with what Pittsburgh has, and they've upgraded a lot of their positions. I think he's going to enjoy it so well that the Steelers fan base is going to embrace him, and that it actually won't be his last year. I think he comes back for one more.
Ooh, interesting. What do you think, Mike T? Can Rodgers be elite this year at age 41/42?
No, and I think he's the third best quarterback, best case scenario in the division. We just talked about Cleveland uncertainty, but when you look at Joe Burrow, you look at Lamar Jackson, I just think at this point, despite a legendary career, I think Aaron Rodgers' best case scenario is the third best quarterback. Sprinkle on the fact that he just signed. I'm a big believer for first-year quarterbacks being in the offseason program. Look, give him credit for playing, but I just don't see this working out, especially, as you said, Graz, being 42 in December.
Jeremy Fowler, I know you're talking to people in Pittsburgh. What are you hearing about Aaron Rodgers and their expectations there?
Well, Dan, you mentioned bridge. This bridge behind me encapsulates the Steelers' last 4 years at quarterback. They are downright giddy just to have a viable option right now. The fact that they have somebody who can work the line of scrimmage, who can make the throws. They feel like, despite a little bit of mobility issues, that he still has the goods. Coaches I've talked to around the league believe that Rodgers was actually very good last year, and he'll be even better year 2 coming off the Achilles tear. And meanwhile, the Steelers are going to try to hit the 2026 draft really hard. That's a loaded quarterback class. So Rodgers simply buys them a year. They can get their guy of the future next year.
Yeah, and they have other issues, though, on that team. Jeremy, they're talking to TJ Watt about a contract extension, still not done as we head toward training camp. What are you hearing on that?
Well, Dan, I'm hearing that there is some level of optimism among the Pittsburgh Steelers that they can get this done despite the obscene money that they're going to have to pay. My sense, talking to people around the league, is that he will be the highest pass rusher in the NFL by the end of the summer if they can get this done. We're talking in excess of $40 million per year. Watt wants to be a Steeler for life. That's what the Steelers want. So they'll probably hash this out closer to training camp, but they do want to try to get this done.
Yeah, to me, this is a have-to-have. You don't give up a second-round pick and $30 million for DK Metcalf, sign a 40-year-old plus quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and not take care of your best player who's a homegrown Hall of Famer. So I got to think this deal's going to get done. And as we talked about last week, guys, like there's so many of these defensive ends out there from Micah Parsons, T.J. Watt, Trey Hendrickson. Like there's going to be, if I'm any of these teams, I want to go first because this market's going to go up in the coming weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots to watch on that front. Hawk, I know you said you're optimistic about Rodgers finding something he hasn't had the last couple of years. In terms of the Steelers, do you expect them to be a factor here in a loaded AFC?
I do. I like this conference. I think there's 3 teams that make the playoffs out of the AFC North. And to Mike T's point, yes, Aaron Rodgers is the 3rd best quarterback in the division, but I would argue with the exception of 1, maybe 2 quarterbacks, every quarterback that would go into that division would be the 3rd best quarterback. So that's why I'm hopeful for him. Yes, it's competitive, but the Steelers, even in down years, they find a way to split with those divisional opponents. And I like Aaron Rodgers and what he brings to the table for that franchise.
All right, much more NFL as we move along here this morning on Get Up. But there was soccer left with T.J. Watt and the Steelers. What's going on there, Jeremy?
Let's do it, Dan. T.J. Watt and the Steelers do hope to get a deal done at some point this summer. The Steelers are dedicated to it. My sense, talking to people around the league, is that he very well could be the highest paid pass rusher in the NFL when this is all said and done. We're talking in excess of $40 million. He wants to be a Steeler for life. The Steelers want that too. He did miss minicamp, so holding out of early training camp is a threat at least, but expect this to pick back up mid to late July where they start to talk some raw numbers and figure something out. Then you got Micah Parsons. So this is sort of following the Dallas playbook a little bit where the Cowboys like to wait on these deals, let both sides squirm a little bit. So once training camp starts, this will probably heat back up. I checked on this today. I was told there's no hard and fast update, but Dallas is expected to make this a priority. They also have guard Tyler Smith, one of the best young guards in the NFL, that they're going to follow closely and potentially pay. So a lot of money will be spent in Dallas. Parsons isn't worried here. He is expecting to get a deal, but it's going to be about the guarantees and the number of years. That's key. Then you got Trey Hendrickson. This is the stickiest situation of them all because even though the Bengals and Hendrickson have resumed contract talks in recent weeks, it has not led to a deal. My sense is Hendrickson would like long-term security despite being age 30. He doesn't really want a shorter-term deal, so the Bengals are going to have to relent in some of those areas. We know this is going to be a big number. He just wants something that's commensurate with his skill set as one of the top 5 to 6 pass rushers in the entire NFL. So he's dug in here, though. Make no mistake. Missing training camp, even missing games, is a real possibility on the Bengals' radar right now.
Yeah, it's a really important situation, Mike T, because, I mean, the Bengals managed to win 9 games last year in spite of a lousy defense because of how good Joe Burrow and the offense were. So when you look at it, is the defense withstanding? We talk about Mahomes standing in the way of all these quarterbacks. Is the Bengals defense the biggest obstacle for Burrow right now?
Possibly. Now, to their credit, let's see what they do. They certainly addressed it on the offense in terms of getting Jamar Chase and T. Higgins signed. They went out, they got a new defensive coordinator in Al Golden, who's well respected around the league. So now it's all about getting Trey Hendrickson signed, and Shamar Stewart, inexplicably as a first-round pick, hasn't signed his contract. If those defensive ends are in, Dan, it's the old Bill Walsh, fourth-quarter pass rusher. They're going to score a ton of points, but if those guys are there, they should win more than 9 games because they should be able to close out games.
If this continues to drag out, are the Bengals doing Burrow a disservice by not getting these guys locked up?
I don't think so, man. I think everyone's had a hand in it. When you look at Joe Burrow, he's the top 5 quarterback. There's going to be holes in your team whenever you're getting paid the way that he's getting paid. And more importantly, he made it very clear he wanted his guys. He wanted Higgins and he wanted Chase. Get the deals done. I don't care. So when that happens, now some of this is on your shoulders as well to make whatever the circumstances are work.
Jeremy, what are you hearing from inside?